I'm going to open us up in Fatiha and then proceed with the program. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Rahmanir-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in Ihdinas siratal mustaqim Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amen. We have a disclaimer that we need to read. And I'm going to read that before going into the discussion of today. The content of the American Muslim 360 Broadcasting Network is intended for general information and community service purposes only. Views expressed by hosts or guests are their own and not necessarily the official position of AM 360 or the parent corporation, Community-Wide Shore Conference, Inc., CWSC, or its board of directors. Content is not designed to provide specific or personal medical, financial, legal, counseling, or other professional advice. No liability, explicit or implied, shall extend to hosts, AM 360, or CWSC. We encourage you to consult an advisor for your specific circumstance. Okay. I want to start off by greeting everyone, the listening audience, with Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back again to Point Plan, a living document for thriving communities. My name is Omar Mohammed, and in these series of conversations, presentations, we explore the vision of Imam Warith Deen Mohammed from building communities rooted in faith, knowledge, and disciplined action. Up to this point, we have talked about visioning, gap analysis, and we just closed out last week with the logical model kind of workflow. And basically, together, all three of these processes help communities to clarify what they want to change and why they want to seek that change. Today, inshallah, we take the next step, right? And all of these are like building blocks for continuous conversations, for continuous feedback, to make any adjustments that are needed or required before we actually launch a program or begin an initiative. So today's episode is about moving from a logic model to an action plan. That is what today's episode is about. And in other words, how do we turn strategy, right, into organized, accountable work? That's basically what we are trying to do. And I witnessed and I have participated in processes that start with a conversation around visioning what we want. And then we hop right in from visioning to trying to implement, right? We had no conversations about what's missing, resource allocation. None of those conversations happen. And normally what I find is that those type of beginning processes usually burn people out. One, because we have not identified the appropriate approach to be able to implement a vision. So what we have been presenting to date is a process that logically step us through a systematic way of thinking about a vision or thinking about a set of goals and being able to now put some strategic processes in place to be able to implement that vision through an action plan. So today, inshallah, we're going to start this conversation off, and this is going to be a series of presentations and conversations about the elements that make up an action plan. And today we're just going to introduce the very basics of an action plan. I'm going to pull in examples of an action plan that I was fortunate to work with the Mid-Atlantic section of the conveners kind of national group. I work specifically with the Mid-Atlantic sections, a section in developing an action plan with their states. And I think it was like 4 or 5 states. And we'll go through. I will lift up examples there because a lot of it touch on what we have been discussing to date. It has examples in there that exemplify how the 9-point plan is being integrated. Or elements of the 9-point plan is being integrated. I will use that report, that process, and that planning effort as an example or a model that can be followed. And again, there are many different types of models out there. There are communities in our association that are affiliated with the leadership of Imam Warith Deen Mohammed that are going through these processes and have done these processes. So there's other models out there as well. So this is not the only model, but this is one that I work with, and I can highlight how we integrated the visioning session, gap analysis, and then the logic model process and the finalized action plan. And I'll just let you know that they are still working through, right? Even when you go through these process, it's not a finished product, a finished product or finished process. You're still working, you're still implementing, you're still refining, right? And I recently, about maybe 3 weeks ago, had a meeting with them, and they want to have another convening to talk about elements that needs to happen with the action plan. So inshallah, I hope to weave in different aspects of that action plan to just highlight some of the real world examples of how a lot of these efforts can be implemented in your masjids, and these are specific masjid communities. So inshallah, we hope to, through this beginning kind of process of the basics of, action planning, we want to turn our strategic approach of using visioning sessions, gap analysis, and logic model, now beginning to organize that data, that information, and then moving it towards accountable work. That's basically what an action plan is. It's a set of accountable work. So let's look at just working with not only communities but across the country, but other masjids as well, having discussions about how you move about, or how do you implement this, right? How do you now move from this conversation around what we want, right? And I know that many communities understand their desire, what they want to see their community become. They want their community to be thriving. They want better education. They want stronger leadership, not only the current leadership, but they want stronger youth leadership and participation. They want economic stability. They want community cohesion. These are recurring themes that I think if we really peel back the layers of the conversations we're having in our communities, these are kind of like the overlapping kind of themes that run across all of our conversations. Better economic conditions, better community cohesion. So those are just some examples, right? But where we often struggle, right, is explaining who does what, being able to tell or determine by when this is going to be achieved, with what resources, and how do we handle resistance or pushback. This is where we usually struggle at. And the action plan really, right, very structured organizations. I mean, let me say this, even very well resourced and structured organizations struggle sometimes with this as well, right? They struggle with this. So I'm saying that to say that we should not beat up ourselves, right, as small organizations when we struggle with these same dynamics. So to make this clear for us, an action plan is where strategy becomes operational discipline, right? Now we're starting to operationalize what it is that we have been envisioning. This is where a lot of people use the term the rubber meets the road, right? This is where we use the logic model, which which kind of highlighted for us and told us what we're trying to change and how change is supposed to happen. And now we are shifting gears, right? See this as we presented earlier this as an ecosystem, but it's interconnected. Everything we pour into this process is interconnected. So now the action plan is going to help us to be able to tell a different story of this process, right? Help us to be able to define and identify what we will actually be doing and who will be doing the particular or implementing the particular strategy through the action plan. On what timeline do we need these strategies to be implemented? And then who is accountable, right? Being able to identify roles and responsibilities. And without these kind of steps, even the strongest vision remains stalled. And I think we all have experienced that, right? We begin these processes, and we have I have been in conversations where they're strong, I mean, very productive conversations, very productive, and has a lot of potential. But we stall, right? The effort stalls, and everyone gets disappointed, everyone gets discontented, and they just fall to the wayside. We don't want that to happen with our efforts. So this process is really designed to keep us also motivated and keep our movement flowing. And really, inspire us to continue to work through difficulties that are going to naturally occur. Okay, so at its core, action planning follows a structured sequence. And I'm gonna go through some of these sequence, or I called it elements, right? It's a structured element, it has structured elements that builds out the action plan. So your action plan clearly states the vision and mission, right? And I say mission and vision here because a lot of communities, a lot of organizations, they're stuck on developing mission and visions, right? And I have learned over, just experiencing, spending a tremendous amount of effort and hours on drafting vision and mission statements, only to learn after you spent a lot of time and sometimes bringing in consultants to help to frame mission and vision statements, and to come to find out that no one understands, right, can repeat what the mission and vision is. And that is a pitfall that many of our organizations fall into, because in our minds we have been told that we need a mission and vision statement to be able to work towards an end goal, right? And like I said, I find that a lot of people cannot tell or repeat what their organization's mission and vision is. So usually what I do, and basically your mission and vision is, why do we exist? And what future are we working towards? Basically, that is what the mission and vision statements need to communicate. But we make them so long, we make them so complicated that people, I mean, they don't remember them. So I started a process of, learning about organizations' mission and vision statements, and then crafting a simple purpose statement. For example, the organization that I was executive director for, we had a long mission and vision statement. It was like a, 2 paragraphs for a mission statement, 1 paragraph for the vision statement. And we were having this session. It was a board retreat, and we always have a facilitator to lead the board retreat. And the question was asked, can everyone recite or repeat or tell the facilitator the mission and vision statement? And mostly everyone stumbled on the mission and vision statement. And what that taught us is that we need a better way of communicating what it is that, why our organization exists, and how do we want to work towards a better future for our communities, right? That's boilerplate kind of synopsis of what we wanted to communicate to the community. And the reason why we were revisiting our vision and mission statement is that we had a lot of challenge in the communities, with communities understanding what it was we were doing, our achievements we were making. Not only the communities that we worked in and worked with for years could not communicate that. Our funders, right, admitted to us that they did not clearly understand what it is that we did, what we worked on, and how we were working towards improving the future of the communities that we were accountable to. So that was really a big slap in our face, that at that board retreat. So we decided that we're going to do away with our mission and vision and just create a purpose statement. And our purpose, basically, and the purpose just wrapped up very simply what our mission and vision was. And our purpose statement was, we build healthy families, right? That was the purpose statement. It encompassed all of what we intended to communicate with our vision, what we wanted to communicate with our mission. That simple statement, we build healthy families. And naturally, a funder will ask you, how do you build healthy families? And our response would be, well, through 4 core missions, or four core areas: affordable housing, economic development, education, and environmental justice. If we can holistically approach those 4 core areas, we can improve the quality of life for all the residents in the communities we target. That was our elevator pitch, right? And what we saw come out of that It's clarity from the people that we were working with about what it is we were doing, how we were going to go about achieving it. We also saw clarity with our funders. And a direct result from that, right, was increased funding to our organization to continue the work, right? We had stalled at a point, right? And we could not understand why we were at a standstill. And it was because we could not communicate clearly to people our vision, mission, and then in some cases your purpose statement. So what I'm saying is your action plan helps you to be able to refine and clearly state your vision and mission, if you so choose to have a vision and mission statement, and then a purpose statement to summarize clearly what it is that your organization do, why it exists, and then how you intend to improve the future of your target population or your target work. The second element that makes up an action plan is clearly defined objectives and strategies. So the action plan lays out specific changes that the organization is going to pursue. And then how you're going to go about those changes. So it lays it out in a very strategic, defined way. The third element is this continuous cycle of what we like to call feedback loop. Your constant checking points, right? Your check-ins, your validation points, where you are constantly listening to the community, the target population that you are targeting, that your program is designed to impact, right? So, like I think one of the episodes we talked about those who are closest to the concern. They should be the ones helping to define what action is realistic and needed, right? So we have those constant feedback loops that we need to integrate into the action plan, right? Evaluation, surveys, focus groups, however you want to design what these feedback loops are. With your targeted population, that needs to be included in the action plan. The fourth element that makes up an action plan, of course, identifying the resources and barriers. This is financial, human, political, and relational, right? Relational barriers. And as we get deeper into these elements, we're going to talk about each one of them in more specific details and really break down and define some of these terms. The fifth element of an action plan is that you are working toward building consensus, right? Agreement is not about uniformity, right? It's about shared commitment, right? And in the Islamic faith, our consensus building process is short, right? And again, we're not looking for 100% support, but consensus is that we can live with the decision of the group. We can live with it. That is the fifth element of action plan. The last and sixth element of the action plan is you list your action steps with accountability, right? So someone or something or some organization has to be accountable to the process or accountable for that specific task. And we had already mentioned that, earlier, that a lot of the steps has a time associated with it. So once we work through these different elements of putting together an action plan, right? our action plan now has specified, right? Or at least when we finish with the framing of the action plan, developing the language that goes with the action plan. Our action plan has specified what we will be doing, by whom, by when, the resources needed, the potential barriers or resistance that we may meet, and then the communication responsibilities or accountability. And this structure transforms our good ideas, right, into collective responsibility. That's basically what we're building here, is a collective process that everyone is responsible for, right? It's not on one individual to implement the action plan, but it is a group responsibility to ensure that the elements are in place, whatever those elements are, that they are in place for that specific task to be achieved. So this is not, I'm saying that to say this, that when we complete and finalize the action plan, it does not mean that we just pass this off to the imam and say, get this done, right? It's not, this is the community's responsibility at that point. It is a shared responsibility. Yes, Brother Michael.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
And thank you again for your contribution to community life establishment. I have a request again in terms of an example, rather than the abstract. Let's say, I think last week we dealt with how do we get our children back.
Yeah.
If you could put some flesh on the bones.
Yes, sir.
It'd
I'm
be
getting
very
there.
helpful. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep. I'm getting there. I do have examples when I open up. I indicated that I will be using one of the processes that I help the Mid-Atlantic section of the conveners of imams, help them to develop an action plan for their states that made up their section, the Mid-Atlantic section. And in that action plan, a lot of the 9-point plan elements or topics are included in that. Not all of them, but a lot of them were wrapped up into the action plan. So I will use that process in that action plan as living examples up here. But I just wanted to set the foundation, Brother Michael, before we start getting into some of the specifics and examples.
Thank you, and pardon my tardiness.
No, you good, Brother Michael. I understand. But yes, I will be using that as the specific example or model that will be used in the not only this conversation today, but subsequent conversations around developing action plans. But I just wanted to set the tone of what the elements that make up an action plan, how we can fold in the 9-point plan, and then we'll go into some of those examples. And I'm just giving a broad overview today. Okay, so to get into the how this approach aligns directly with the 9-point plan. Action plan allows us to be able to look at self-determined governance, right? Because we need a structure. We need a structure. So self-determined governance, which helps us to be able to identify clear roles and decision authority, which helps us to prevent confusion and dependency, right, on one person or one group. But it should be, this process now is developing capacity and agency of the whole organization and individuals that make up that organization. So we're just not looking at the community only or the organization only, but we're looking at everything that makes up that community and makes up that organization. We're helping to build the skill sets, the capacity, tap into the existing agency of what already exists in that community, and refine it and make it better, right? to respond, right, to the needs of the community. And one is being able to define self-determined governance, so that we have clear roles and clear responsibilities in decision-making processes. It rolls in from the 9-point plan, economic and social responsibility, right? Resource identification and sustainability are built into the plan, not left to opportunity, right? Or left to chance, or left to guessing. But we are intentionally looking at resources, looking at sustainability from an economic and social responsibility perspective, right? We're pulling that into our action plan. Knowledge applied, right? The data, documentation, feedback loops ensure that learning and any adjustments to that learning continues throughout the process. Even when, we mentioned, even when it is finished, it's really never finished. We're always learning. We're always reevaluating. We're always making adjustments to the effort, to the plan. And then it incorporates discipline and order. Follow through over time becomes standard and not just the exception. It becomes the standard, right? That's why we said that this can become models for other communities to be able to follow. And action planning is not a bureaucracy. It helps us to clarify and define morally, positions of our organizations. So I want to jump in now, examples from the Mid-Atlantic planning effort. So we work with the Mid-Atlantic section of the conveners there, and I forget exactly the states that make up the Mid-Atlantic. I want to say it's New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, North Carolina. I want to say it's those states, right? And I think it's one more that I may be living off. And I think it's Virginia as well. That is in there. But we work with them on developing an action plan and they specifically wanted to identify not only the needs in the section, but identify which communities felt like they were thriving, just surviving, or that they were dying. Right. So that was one of the questions that they wanted answered. So we developed a survey that was sent out to their member masjids to assess those specific questions around the needs in the community. Do they feel like they're surviving, thriving, or dying communities? And we had some other, I can't remember all of the specific questions. Let me see if I can share my screen, and then I can share with you the actual report. Let me do this. Let me open the report. It might be easier to share them. Yeah. Can everyone see this? Is this visible to everyone? Do I need to increase the font or anything?
It looks fine to me.
Okay, cool. So this is the Mid-Atlantic Congress. They called it an unconference. So they had a 2-day, well, it was a day and a half convening where it was facilitated a conversation with members of the specific masjids in the states that make up the Mid-Atlantic. And at that convening, we discussed the survey results. So, and then we had breakout sections based on what conversations or what topics or themes the participants wanted to continue to have conversations around and build a strategy around how to address those specific kind of concerns or topics. So this was the committee that made up, the steering committee that worked on the process, the convening, facilitators, as well as the survey design and implementation. So these were some of the questions that came out of the survey. How satisfied are you with the range of programs and services offered by your masjid? How familiar are you with the governance of your masjid? What is your opinion of how well the masjid is run? Right, and it was a series of questions around various concerns that people had in general about community development. Does your masjid provide educational programs for children under the age of 15 and young adults age 15 to 21, right? And then it went into other types of questions as well. Does your masjid engage with local government or participate in broader community city initiatives? So we basically, right, had sent this survey out to gather some initial data that we could present at the convening, and then develop some overlapping themes. So some facilitated conversations can occur that can result in strategies or approaches to be able to address some of the concerns that came out of the survey. And some of it was around governance structure. It was youth participation and engagement. It was maintaining the language and the leadership of Imam Warith Deen Mohammed in our community. It was economic stability in our community. So those were some of the arching overlapping themes that came out of the convening. So this was after the convening, we were able to identify some topics, and these were the topics: vision and direction, youth and young adult engagement, financial security, action priorities, community cohesion, long-term sustainability, supporting Muslim journal, and community education. And then the 4 topics selected for the breakout group, right, discussions were financial security, long-term sustainability, community education, and community cohesion, right? So this first list came out of the conversation as a group at the convening. And it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So we could not have a productive conversation with seven topics, right? So we had to prioritize, and we prioritized 4 of them to be able to go out into breakout sessions and have those facilitated conversations. But I hope, inshallah, I'm still working to see if I can. I'm gonna stop this so I can go back to my my talking points. What I want to do is to be able to share this, Sister Martha, and I will need permission from the Mid-Atlantic to see if I can share this particular document. But inshallah, I will reach out to Imam Suhaluddin and see if I can share this document so that when we are working through this process, everyone will have the document to be able to refer to.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Okay. But this, what the Mid-Atlantic section was able to do, right? They listened, right? Not only did they survey the community and got the results back, they held a convening and listened to the community participants that were in attendance. We had, like I said before, we had facilitated conversations, and community members defined what, for example, there was a huge conversations about sustainability, right? Sustaining the language of Imam Warith Deen Mohammed, stability of the masjid, because some masjids are being, lost or taken over. Sustainability when it came to financial stability in the masjid. So that was a huge overarching theme in that conversation. So one of the things we did, because sustainability can mean different things to different people. The first thing we had to do was come up with a collective definition of what sustainability meant, right? So in one of the facilitated conversations, we collectively defined what sustainability meant. And out of that, we were able to develop a definition of sustainability that everyone could buy into, because they helped to shape the definition of sustainability, what it meant to them. And what came out of that kind of conversation is the definition of sustainability to them meant ownership and management, shared responsibility, financial documentation and forecasting, estate planning, and strong governance and legal structure. That is what sustainability meant to that group, right? And out of that, right, we tied in some logic. We had to do some rapid conversations around logic model, but we were able to tie in some logic model thinking processes into practice, right? And we were able to identify conditions, naming root challenges, and clarifying desired outcomes, even from the definition of what sustainability meant to this group. But what came out of that process is that the report helped to clear up and clarify next steps in the action plan, developing concrete steps, succession plans, and accountability structures to move these priorities forward. That is what the action plan was able to achieve after we came out of the convening. And this is exactly where many communities pause, right? They get to this point and they remain stuck, where action planning basics matter the most. The Mid-Atlantic report gave us real examples of the 9-point plan alignment. And in the plan, it highlighted, for example, financial security. This was a direct connection to the 9-point plan in the specific area of economic self-reliance, right? They wanted to be more financial stable. That was their integration of one aspect of the 9-point plan. The report identified challenges, right, such as reliance on zakat as the sole income source, and these were identified as potential threats to that financial security that was discussed and talked about and prioritized through this conversation. That reliance on zakat as a sole income source, inability to pay imams and program leaders, limited funding diversity. All of these were pulled out of those conversations as threats to the Mid-Atlantic section masjid's economic self-reliance. So in the action plan, right, it identified what specific actions was required to diversify the income of those member masjids. Who is responsible for exploring different investment strategies or other ways in which diversifying the income stream into the masjid? What timeline applies? And what resistance might arise through this process. So that was one of the action processes that were identified in the action plan, specifically tied to financial security. So the economic vision that was discussed at the convening, the action plan helped to operationalize, that their action or task needed to be able to reduce their threats, the threats to their financial security, right? And all of this was discussed with them as a group. And this may not be true for every community, right? This was just true for that convening, that group of individuals that attended that particular convening. Example 2, one of the main things throughout that whole convening was youth and young adult engagement. And in fact, it was such a dominant theme that we decided to save this particular conversation for the last day of the convening, which was Sunday, so that we could give the whole convening time dedicated just to this topic, because it was a strong indication that all of the participants wanted to discuss this, right? So we dedicated half a day just to youth and young adult engagement. So this relates to the 9-point alignment here is the protection of youth and future generations. The youth engagement, we had youth participation there at the convening. The youth engagement received the highest interest, like I said, it received the highest interest during the convening, prompting a collective decision to address it as a full group. That consensus was critical. It was critical in the action planning process. One, because we had significant, meaningful participation from the young people that were present. They spoke up in many ways, right? To highlight not only their frustration, but their desire to continue to participate at a level to help to realize the future of their communities. So what came out of that? Discussions around who leads youth engagement efforts, right? What structures support leadership development? How are intergenerational gaps addressed? And how will progress be reviewed? And this moved the conversation from concerns, right, to now structured responsibility. Now things can be tasked through the action plan to specific individuals or groups, right? And this came out of conversation that the youth led, right? And the action plan answered many of these questions. And as we move through subsequent examples, we will highlight some of the specific strategies that the action plan identified. I don't know if I have enough time to go into the third example. Well, let's go into the third example, because I think that this one was important too. That came out of that convening conversation around. And the third example is governance and organizational structure. And the 9-point alignment is around self-determined governance. Participants there emphasize the need for board and committee training, clear bylaws, and legal and fiduciary protections, right? And all of this came out of struggles in other communities that found that what they thought was strengths or what they thought was protecting their communities actually weakened their communities and allowed their massages to be taken over, or allowed massages to be lead to being sold. And it left high concern for members that were attending and listening to other attendees described these challenges that were happening in their states. So what came out of that was the participants emphasized a need around those three kind of topics: board and committee training, clear bylaws, and legal and fiduciary protections. Yes, Brother Michael.
A question about your statement that they thought, if I understood it correctly, they thought they were protecting their interests,
Yeah.
but they won't. Could you explain that a little clearer?
Yes, sir. So some of our bylaws specifically define how what who is considered a member, voting member, who can serve on the shore board, who can serve on different committees, right? And in many instances, what has happened is that other groups have come into masjids and have been able to seat themselves on boards, committees, within those structures, and then take over the masjid, right? So bylaws in which we thought was protecting our community actually weakened our effort to protect our community. That's one example that came out of that conversation. That's why they were saying that we needed to now review bylaws that structure our decision making and be able to fortify them, maybe even through other legal structures to be able to protect our assets. That's what they were saying. Because one community in particular, I think it was in Mississippi, if I'm remembering it correctly, their masjid was taken over through this board process, or through this bylaw process, membership process, and their masjid was sold. If I remember that, that example correctly here. And there were some other examples that came out of New Jersey that had a similar type of impact in their community, and that's what I was alluding to about having maybe some legal protections, other types of legal protections that protects our assets in our community, particularly our property, our finances, etc. Did that answer your question, Michael?
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. And that kind of clarity is important to me. And lastly, the need you represent for me one of the models of resourceful men and women in our community. And it's been said recently, we have to engage such individuals to stop being in the background and come forward. And that was one of the focuses of the last presentation, public address of Imam Mohammed, dealing with shared freedom space. We're not going to be successful if we don't have people that know how to ask questions to get better answers. And the resourceful people, they've shown in their life choices and the knowledge capital that they have. They've shown that that we're not going to be successful if we're not insisting that such people come forward to help us. Like for instance, as you were speaking abstractly, my mind began to, because I need more concrete. You know what I'm saying? Rubber meet the road examples. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I get it, and I understand. And as we move through, building out each section of the action plan, we will fold in more specific, concrete examples of challenges that has been, communicated, and strategies that has come out of those conversations to deal with some of those challenges. Because I don't think these challenges are unique to one specific area or one specific section of the country. This could be applied nationally. and really in many instances globally. But for the governance and organizational structure, the action plan specifically clarify roles, training schedules, decision-making authority, and accountability timelines, right? That's what the action plan in addressing these specific kind of category of needs in the community around governance and organization structure. The action plan that was put together addressed this. I just want to make sure that I think I'm towards the end here. Yeah, I am. So Sister Martha, I think we have like 5 more minutes here that we can dedicate to any other questions or concerns that folks may have. I know it was a lot of information. We're going to drill down, right, in the subsequent presentations. We're going to drill down on those specific elements, and we're gonna peel back the layers, right, on these strategies, on these challenges that come up. We're going to pull back the layers, and we're going to take our time, and we're going to dissect and clearly lay out some potential strategies to deal with those not only implementing, right, the action plan, but also the challenges that come about. And really, this process, right, this beginning process should help us. And we should be, right, because we already went through the visioning process, went through the gap analysis, we went through a logic model. The gears have been working, right? The gears of the process has been working. So things should have surfaced themselves, right? Skill sets, abilities, challenges. So we should have already had these types of conversations, and now beginning to put the rubber to the road, right? So next week, inshallah, we'll get down to a specific part of the action, and we'll peel back that later.
Fryer. It was the one you had underneath the cabinet. Okay. All right, ma'am, I apologize.
No, you're good.
I'm talking to my son here too. But yes, and because we have been promoting and we're getting more intentional, purposeful about it on the 50-year, 50 state strong. I want to be able to, as you were speaking about the North Atlantic, we've spoken to Dr. Abdel J. Nuruddin, who was the convener there. And so the overlook for CWSC is looking at everything in operation, the 50 state kind of thing. So we will be approaching it from that angle.
Yes, ma'am.
Our directors, and because our directors are all over the country.
Yes, ma'am.
So to make it more workable, so that, like you were saying, that they would then see themselves put forth the timelines and all of that, and what they expect to come out of that. So alhamdulillah, this is Allah sends the help. So alhamdulillah, thank you. And now what we were talking about, the upcoming class.
Yes, the
financial class.
Yes, the financial freedom class. We are going to launch that in January. We pushed the date back to allow us enough time to advertise it. So our first date, it will be the 13th of January. That would be our first session of the financial freedom webinar. And these financial freedom webinars will cover the topics in the workbook that accompanies the webinar. Our goal is to build financial stability, not only in the Muslim community, but the broader community through financial education. And this process is designed to step us through a budgeting I guess framework that is called 50-30-20, a budgeting process. And basically, it allows us to be able to allocate our resources appropriately across cost categories. So what is needed, right? Those could be our mortgages, rent, health insurance, et cetera. Those things that are essential to support our life. 50% is allocated to that. 30% is what we call discretionary funds or fund money. You know, some people call it fund money, and that basically is to support, you know, things that or highlights in your life. So it could be vacation, it could be uh, 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 cosmetics, you know, getting your hair done, etc., nails. So those things are important as well. So there's allocation of your spending to that, and then of course investment into yourself, your future, being able to sustain your future in investments. We'll be having some discussions on the 50-30 plan, how that works, and how it leads to financial empowerment. It's a 5-week course. And again, the 5 weeks cover the chapters that are outlined in the Financial Freedom Workbook. So inshallah, Sister Martha, today I will be sharing with you the flyer, all the marketing material that we have for the programming. I will get that out to everyone today so that for the next week or two, we can start lifting that up across our networks.
Okay, I have a question. I was going through our email, CWSC email. Had you sent a letter? And I apologize because I just seen it. I'm going. It was a preparatory questionnaire, some sort, and I've got to go back and find it now. I was
Yes,
looking for
ma'am.
it. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So those who sign up to participate in the webinar series, at the beginning of it, they will receive a questionnaire that helps to prep them for what financial stability means to them, right? So it just helps to kind of frame their ideal of what financial stability means. And then throughout the 5 week, we will have worksheets and et cetera on each of the topics that help people kind of frame their journey to financial freedom. So it'll be a series of worksheets that will be shared with folks, as well as we're in the process of developing a kind of like a weekly newsletter around this financial webinar topics. And it would be a subscription based kind of platform where you pay a fee and you will receive monthly or weekly exercises to reinforce what you learned, you know, over the 5 week course. This is just to reinforce, to keep motivated, to keep inspired, to continue to work, because it's a journey. You know, 5 weeks is not, you know, it's a journey.
It's a journey, and the beauty of this, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is all knowing, and we love Allah, because the February 28th, we received information about a national, what do you call it, a national appeal for us to collectively market or strategize, not buying from certain or particular areas.
Mm-hmm.
And this can be a plug-in or an arm out front. I mean, nationally, and I'm speaking of the whole, you know, they're speaking to the African American, Muslim African American, and African American, whatever communities. And that will help, because if we don't see the benefit from not spending monies wastefully, even though we target, you know, like Target and other places that we've targeted, then how we will see, okay, how can I assess that I'm really benefiting from not spending my dollars there? Did I just run and spend my dollars somewhere else and still didn't have those dollars to spend.
That's right. That's right.
On
So
those particular things.
I mean, you're absolutely right, Sister Martha. This process is designed to help folks control, right? Control their money, get control of their money, right? To secure their future. When you control your money, you secure your future. And securing your financial future allows you to have choices, right? Even when you're approaching your retirement age, it allows you to have choices. You're not forced to work when you're 70 or 80. You have choices. So this whole process is designed for us to take control of our money so that we secure our future, so that we have better choices that we can make, right? And if we choose to work, we choose to work, but we're not forced to work. Yes, Brother Michael.
Yeah, this is so important, and we can't put enough emphasis on this particular focus of having knowledge capital in terms of knowing what we have to have and what we can do without, making us more conscious that the problems that money brings into our, or I should say the lack of money or the lack of usefulness of money, the problems that it brings into our life, the fact that we have a group of people that have a potential of trillions of dollars annually, but in such raggedy shape in terms of how we look as a community, as well as many large numbers of us uh, in our personal life. So we can't say enough about advertising this, and I'm anxious to be a part of this, get the workbook and get the webinar and all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and Brother Michael, that is, one of the intent as well is to uh, increase our understanding and knowledge of how money works, and it starts in our own home, right? And we have to begin having these conversations at the household level, so that we manage our resources appropriately, so that at some point all of us should be at a position where when we leave this material world, what we have amassed, we can endow to the masjid. Right? We should be in positions and thinking, having the mindset of establishing endowments for our masjids.
Not only that, but having those that we leave behind, our children and grandchildren, being more appreciative of us because we thought about them,
Exactly.
in our financial responsibilities, trying to have a better situation, not just knowledge wise, but
Right.
materially, for those coming behind us.
That is correct. Generational wealth building. That is what we are trying to achieve here. Generational wealth building. It's estate planning, where we are not only planning for the financial future of our family, but also for our community, right?
I mean,
There are a lot of people that do this, right? They pass, they have financial stability for their family, and they also have it for their church, or they also have it for the synagogue. We need to be thinking along the same lines that what we have amassed in this, in this material world, how can we build that generational wealth for our family as well as leave something for our community?
And that's where the wills come in. Oh, we
Yes,
stipulated
ma'am.
in the will. Yes, yes.
And
They
I
must
mean,
be knowledgeable. They can't go
and
out and
look,
squander it.
yeah, and look, so
Assalamualaikum.
Samantha, you know,
Alaikum assalam.
that was one of the reasons why we also said that we need to look at legal structures in which to do some of this, right? Because I can tell you, we're going through this right now, where a brother established his will, and he has in his will where the masjid in Charleston is going to receive some of the properties
Oh.
that he has.
Mm-hmm.
But he passed, and they only found a copy of the will, not the original will. And in South Carolina, in order to probate the property, you have to have the original will. So we're going through a whole process here, right? So this is teaching us we need other legal structures that allow out, you know, when we pass, to allow what we want to happen to occur, you know, to occur, and don't get caught up in this legal, you know, we think we're doing the right thing, right? But we run into these legal obstacles because we did not fully understand how to establish these things in this land.
And that's because it's being contested. That's why this is coming up,
It's
right?
being contested. It is being contested. And it is being contested. And
Khalida is here with us as well, raising her hand too.
oh, I see. Yes, I see. Sister.
Apologize, Khalida. Go right ahead.
No, that's fine. Assalamu alaikum,
Like,
Brother Omar. Thank you. I was listening to what you were saying in reference to sustainability, and also wanted to bring in the family sustainability. When we have more healthy, stable marriages and families, that will also help us financially, naturally. And it also will reduce a lot of this emotional spending, emotional eating, not making excuses for people, but there is a balance that only doing what Allah says can bring us. So when we have more stability within that, it'll naturally, inshallah, with your training, because that's excellent. What I looked over your educational format that you're planning on stepping out into the community and teaching the financial success or the financial means to success. And if we look at doing that, supporting you, and also factoring in the family, I think we can be more successful.
right.
And
Yeah,
also
100%.
you were a part of the Mid-Atlantic training. And I didn't know you then, but you did an excellent presentation. And also Sister Mahassan, I had told Imam Salahuddin about her, and he allowed her to zoom in with us because she was interested in what we were doing, because she wanted to make that connection. So I would love to see more of that regional, interregional training.
Yes.
Thank you.
And
Assalamu
I
alaikum.
think, well, like my salam, and I know, well, I don't think, I know that the Mid-Atlantic is planning another convening. I think they want to try to hold it in North Carolina. I believe it's going to be next year, and they're going to have not only community development aspects to this convening, but one topic that they are lifting up, and I believe it's an important topic, just like you stated, Sister Kalia, is marriage, and trying to not only strengthen existing marriages, but encourage our young people and those who are not currently married to get married. So I know that is an upcoming event that is being planned now. And I want to say we landed in the May month, but we just haven't decided on a date yet for that. So inshallah, more details to come on that. Yes, brother Ishmael.
Yes, sir. I know this would be a longer topic, but I think I'm speaking with some of the people that at least we can talk about it. And that's the language and logic of the Imam. We have about 4 to 5 to 6 different programs and institutes that we have in our community that teach, quote unquote, the language and logic. But to my knowledge, there has not been a peer review from program to program. So to me, that's concerning. Not people may think it's going to naturally work itself out, but if you understand what I'm saying, there hasn't been a peer review and things of that nature, especially when we want to build this structure. So I just wanted to put that out there. That's something to talk about long term, but
yes, sir.
That's just my quick thoughts.
Yes, sir. I hear you 100%. What's working, what's not working, what, where are there overlap and where there could be collaborative efforts. I hear you 100%.
But and also even with differing, what is a certain thing? Certain group, we may not all
agree.
We may say we're students, but we have different ideas of what certain things meant. So
yeah,
I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, that's an excellent observation. And it's something that we need to lift up about how do we evaluate what it is that we're doing. I hear you loud and clear, Brother Ishmael. And again, that's going to require us working across our differences and not really seeing our efforts only being to who agrees with us, but also being able to accept criticism and being able to modify, right, appropriately to make our efforts better.
Yeah, back to that consensus you were talking about.
That is correct. That is correct. We should be open to criticism because that makes us better. We should be open to people wanting better explanations. Like Brother Michael, he always pulling my coattail around, give me some practicality around this. You discussing this and I hear you in theory, but I want to see, I want to hear some real application of how this is working. That is what we need, right? We need that constant reminder. And I do not get offended at all when someone is asking, and because that makes me better too. It helps me to think more deeply and intentional about the information that is being presented, and it makes me better. And hopefully the information that I'm sharing, it makes that better as well. So we need to be open to criticism. Yeah, Sister Martha, what's this on your screen? You may be on mute, Sister Martha, if you're talking. I think you're on mute. Mute, Sister Martha.
Yes, okay, I had to get there. But alhamdulillah. But yes, this is what we intend to promote using the Muslim Journal and other avenues of promotion, social media wise. There is what we have, what is called the Canva. I'm using Canva to practice doing different things, but as our younger persons get involved, this is how we want to bring it forth as a newsletter, projecting what you're speaking about, the 9-point plan. We see the after effect of planning, like cities and things, finding out all the things that's missing. When we look at the finished product, we just say, oh, we want that too. But as you're doing the breakdown and the steps that it takes to, if we miss a step, then we will find ourselves falling on our face. So this newsletter effect here is just advertising what CWSC is about and preparing us for Muharram 1448 AH.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, and that should be next year, inshallah, as this will be the new year, 1448. And we pray to be engaged with the educational systems through Imam Dr. Hamid El Amin and the consortium, Educational Consortium Foundations, which includes the National Alumni Association with Priscilla El Ukta and MAVA and all of the organizations that are working feverishly, but those tentacles need to be, a little more seen and given more foundational construct in our minds. And so that when we travel through the earth, through the United States, that we go intentionally and purchase and do different things. We go with that intent, and it will it will come back to us. So inshallah, that's our intent, to share this kind of newsletter effect.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Alaikum assalam.
It's Delacey Umar here. Brother Omar, thanks a lot for your presentation. I think I might have missed being on your list. I have a sight impediment, so
Okay.
I probably didn't sign up or anything or take a survey.
Okay.
But
yes, yes, sir, Brother DeLacy. Go to www.gracelinecommunityinc.org. And on that website, you can sign up for the newsletter. And the newsletter will have, and also you will have the ability to sign up for the webinars, to access the or subscribe to any of the financial planning webinar series, etc.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is I can't see how to do that, right?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I can get someone to do it though, I'm sure. But I appreciate the information. I think I tried to call you, but I
Oh, did you? Okay, give me another call. You have my number 843-693-3911. If I don't immediately pick up, just text me. Because I'm in a lot of meetings. But if I don't pick up, text me. Text me. And I will definitely return your call. But again, that number is 843-693-3911.
Okay, thanks very much. And thanks for your professionalism and definitely great presentations you presented here. Very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, like we have said before, anyone that needs assistance, please reach out to CWSC. And you know, they have a network of individuals, including myself, that are willing to help communities navigate this process. You know, we have to work together to do this. I see this, you know, I'm passionate about this. I see this as part of, you know, my responsibility of being blessed by Allah with certain skill sets and abilities and opportunities, right? And doors that have opened up for me. And I have to give back, you know, to the community. And this is one way, right? That giving back community is reflected in my life work. So please reach out. Don't worry about, you know, resources and can you pay. Don't worry about that. A conversation don't cost no one anything. We can easily jump on a Zoom call and talk things out, right? A conversation don't cost us nothing. So just call us, and we'll help it. You know, we're happy to assist in whatever way that we can.
I want to inject one thing before you close out with us on make a dua, Khalida. I know tonight, and being many are observing on the Gregorian calendar the New Year's effect. Inshallah, I know Khalida has a great program process and to be processed. Khalida, if you're able to, are you able to, or you want me to read it? I can go to our email.
You can read it. You can read it. Yes, ma'am. And I just want to highlight Imam Nasif Majid, who is going to be with us. He's a North Carolina state representative. So please, all the educated minds, everybody here is educated. I'm not talking about degree. Help us out. We need your representation, especially the brothers and the sisters. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Oh, one moment. Let me see here. I know it's the layout for tonight. I know Alana is Dr. Sharifa Mohammed is one of the presenters. A young person is Alana. I'm trying to get the name here. Oh, Sister Alana is what's her? Okay, she didn't write it all the way out, but anyway, there are going to be several persons tonight. Let me do this justice. Give me one moment here. Apologize, I had it with me here. Okay. All right. It says help to remake the world with information from the guidance of the words in the Quran, application of the model of the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the tafsir of Imam Warith Deen Mohammed. No. Hajjah Sharifa. Okay, I'm still getting the wrong one. But anyway, tonight, everyone, as narrative aspiration at 7 p.m., we'll begin having a collective expressions from various individuals. And as Khalida was saying, Imam Nasif, what's his last name? Nasif. Okay, he will be. There will be many presenters tonight. Najee, thank you. And it will be it will be a recognition of entering into the year 2026 on the Gregorian calendar. And as we are in the 7th month and all of the blessings, we call this the month of Allah, but it's every day, but we're just acknowledging that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more present in our mind. I don't know, I shouldn't even say it that way. But do please join us at 5 p.m. for Halal Industries, Do for Self, and then at 7 p.m. Will be the narrative aspirations. When we go higher, when we aspire, we go higher. I think that's it. Is that it, Michael? Because I know Khalida's busy, but alhamdulillah. But we look forward to everyone's participation, look forward to new challenges, and welcome those challenges, inshallah, for the Gregorian New Year and for the Hijra calendar New Year. Inshallah, we're going to be busy. All of us are going to be busy until we leave here. And that's my introduction to the next year. Go ahead, Imam. We can ready to close out. We appreciate your time going on.
A dua.
Yes, sir.
Oh Allah, Lord of all people and places, we thank you for bringing us together with intention, care, and responsibility. You have allowed us to listen deeply, to share honestly, and envision a future rooted in justice, dignity, and collective well-being. Grant us clarity where decisions must be made, courage where change is required, and patience where healing takes time. Let the plans we shape today be guided by wisdom, carried by accountability, and strengthened through cooperation and trust. Protect our communities, our elders, our children, and those whose voices are too often unheard. Make us worthy stewards of the work before us. Send us forward, not just inspired, but committed, not just hopeful, but prepared to act. And let what we build together be a source of benefit, balance, and mercy for generations to come. Amen.
Amen. And the prayer from Study Al-Islam is going to be asking everyone to offer. So around the globe, may it penetrate our minds and souls. Thank you for that. Praise be to Allah. I was feeling it. Oh, Allah, thank you. Thank Allah for everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.